Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice little 6-game NBA slate. This slate is a lot better than yesterday's slate, but it still does have a lot of insane things on it. We have a lot of injury report today, so before I get started though, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. Let's get an injury report here for the Hawks. Murray is questionable and Capella is out. For the 76ers, Embiid, Melton, Batum, and Covington are out. For the Wizards, Baldwin is questionable, and then Bagley and Livers is out. For the Celtics, Tatum is questionable today. For the Rockets, Van Vliet, Eason, and Adams are out. For the Raptors, everybody is full strength today. It looks like Dinwiddie and Olenek and stuff will probably not play as they're not quite ready to do that, though. Looking at the Hornets, Ball, Williams, and Lowry are out. For Milwaukee, Lillard is questionable. Middleton and is out, and Beverly is questionable. So they keep that in mind here. So looking at the Denver Nuggets, Caldwell Pope is questionable. For the Kings, they are at full strength today. And then we're going to look at the Pelicans. We have Zion as doubtful. Valanciunas is questionable. Marshall is questionable. And then finally for the Lakers, LeBron and Davis are both questionable. Russell is also questionable. Vanderbilt, Reddish, and Vincent are out. So obviously we have some teams that have some guys that could be joining soon from these trades. I don't think many of those guys will play today, but we'll have to wait and see as we get closer to slate. But with that being said, with all these questionable tags, that definitely opened up some value. However, there's a lot of high risk value today. I do have one team that I do want to target when it comes to the value, depending on those injuries, though. So we'll look at that here too as we go. But first of all, let's get in our core plays. We're going to look at Emin Thompson here for the Rockets first. With Van Vliet out, he started 2 games this year, and he's been over 30 minutes in those 2 games. He also scored over 40 fantasy points in those 2 games. He's cheap for his potential. Definitely carries some risk, though, as he is a very tiny sample size, and he hasn't played a lot of minutes in a lot of games. But in the last 3 games, he's actually played pretty good, though his price is a little bit high for that second game against Minnesota. However, I do think he'll get over 30 minutes in this one, so he's definitely a viable option. Looking at Brandon Ingram here for the Pelicans, it looks like Zion is likely going to be ruled out as he is doubtful. He becomes the top play on the slate pretty easily, and he is priced fairly. He's actually slightly underpriced for his potential today. He's also because he's in a great matchup here against the Lakers, and he's been playing very well lately as well. I also like CJ McCollum, who's also a little bit underpriced today. I felt like the Pelicans are underpriced. With Zion hurt, he has some potential here. His price has dropped some, which also helps him make a solid play. He's not as good of a play as Ingram, but he's definitely a good play in general as he has a pretty good ceiling and even though he does have a lower floor than you like, this matchup is very favorable. And the Pelicans are the team that I do think that are very stackable today when it comes to with the injuries because Valanciunas and Zion are both unlikely. Well, at least Zion is definitely unlikely to play. Jonas may play, but even if Jonas plays, excuse me, Trey Murphy, Larry Nance, Larry Nance, and Herb Jones would all have some utility today. But this is contingent that these guys potentially get ruled out, so do keep that in mind. But that is definitely a way to go on the slate. Moving over to the other players I do like today, we're going to look at Jabari Smith for the Houston Rockets. Now, he has played up and down throughout the season. He's been playing inconsistent minutes lately, but I do think that now that the uh, trade deadline's passed and Houston is locked in with their roster, they're going to try to play their young guys to really help them develop, and he's definitely somebody that needs to be playing. This is a game he should be able to do well in as well. His floor is low, but he does have a good ceiling, so he's definitely worth a look here at this price point. Looking at Emmanuel quickly for Toronto, he's going to continue to be a good option for the Raptors. He's played pretty well for most of the season since he's joined the Raptors. However, his minutes the last couple of games have been a little bit upside down, and he's not been quite as good. He does tend to need to be scoring dependent, which is a little bit of a concern in fantasy, but he's definitely viable at this price point, so he's definitely worth a look here. Then we're going to look at total for them as well. Now, he has finally back from his injury the last few games, and he's played very well with the exception of the first game back. Now he's playing over 30 minutes a game, and he's priced very fairly for his potential here, and he's got a favorable matchup here against against Houston mind you, where he has a lot of upside potential here. I also like Jalen Green for Houston. Now, he's been extremely inconsistent throughout the season. His price has also popped up a lot. He's very risky as a result of that price, but with Van Vliet out, he has some potential and a high ceiling. Obviously, him and Amin Thompson are definitely both options on the slate. And then we'll look at Kongwu for Atlanta. He's been playing very good with Capella out. He has really nice upside. He's priced up now, which is a little bit irritating, but he's definitely a viable option on the slate. Though he doesn't have a ton of games over 30 fantasy points on the season. The last game against Boston with Capella out, he did well, so I think he's worth a look here. Those bottom two are definitely very GPP kind of plays, but overall I do think the slate is pretty interesting. I do think there's going to be a lot of things open up as we go. Right now, the value is kind of unknown because of all the questionable tags, and we have a lot of guys on new teams and stuff potentially that could potentially screw up this slate. But we'll have to wait and see a little bit closer in the day. Thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing, and if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And have a nice day, guys.